Hello everyone, welcome to the session of Python programming language. Today I'll be discussing about the concept of files in Python. So we all know that when we are dealing with the programmatical language, we have a set of variables, we have list dictionaries where we are going to store some set of data in those variables or list or dictionary. Can we store this data permanently in the memory? No. Whenever we complete our execution of a program, the complete data, whatever you would have stored in variable, list or dictionary, everything will get erased. So now I want to store the data permanently in a secondary storage device. I have something to be stored for a lifetime, then I have to go for concept of files. So what is a file? File is an unnamed location on the system storage where we are able to store the data permanently, and it enables a persistent storage in either hard disk or wherever you want to store. So whenever we are dealing with the file processing operations, there are three important steps that we process with the files. First one is, before doing any operations on the file, we need to first open the file and create a reference object to the file that we have opened. Second thing is, you can either perform read or write operation or append operation, anything as such. And before leaving the execution, the main mandatory thing is you need to close the file. So as we have seen, we have different set of files, different types of files. One is text files, where you will be storing the data in a string like documents, it may be Excel sheet, it may be CSV file, etc. And similarly, we have other set of files called binary files, where audio file may be like audio files. These set of files are called binary because it's in a different pixel format, audio, video, images, etc. And we also know that the main basic operations that we can perform on the file will be open, and before opening, after opening, in between that we need to perform read and write operation, and then it is mandatory, as I said, to close the file. Now let's move on to the first concept of opening a file. So as I said, before you can perform any operation with respect to the file, it is mandatory process that you open the file first, and whenever you open the file, a file handler, that is nothing but an object reference to that particular file, will be created by the Python interpreter. So with this you can either write, read or modify or append the file as it is required. When we come to the syntax of opening a file, so whenever you try to open a file, it should be assigned with some file handler, and open with the bracket the name of the file that you are trying to open, and the another one is the access mode, whether you are performing read, write operation or append operation. Let's move on to one example here. So when I say file1 is equal to open some name of the file with write mode, it means, so this open method, open function, returns a reference object to the file1, where file1 will be pointing to the first position of that particular file. I know that you are not still understanding about this, but let's move on to the further topic so you will get in the things better. So whenever you are trying to open, save or write the file, it will be stored in the form of bytes on the disk, and before it can perform read or write operation, the data will be decoded and encoded as required by the user. So I said, if you can see the diagram here, the file handler diagram, so when you open a file, so this file will be able to perform with open, close, read and write operation, and the file handler will be pointing towards the position or the location of that specific file, whichever that we have tried to open. Suppose everything is fine. When you open the file, the open is successful and data will be extracted to perform any operation. What if the file does not exist? What happens to the file handler when you try to read the data which is not in the proper format, or you are trying to open the data where the permission is not given? So definitely it will throw you up an error. You can see one of the example here. So file 1 is equal open stuff.txt, where stuff is a file which does not exist. So it will throw you with an error, or what you call exception, file not found error. So we should be very vigilant and careful enough to handle these type of errors. So what are the different type of errors that might occur when you are trying to open the file when it is not successful is, as we know that file may not exist. Even though file exists, we will not be having enough permission. As an admin, I have permission, so you are trying to access the admin's file, you will not be able to get that file, or the file may be corrupted, but still it will be visible on the website. That for example on Amazon, that file or that particular item may not be available, and you are trying to order that menu or order that item, then you will not be allowed to order the item. So this is the different errors that might occur. And I said apart from reading and writing, we have different modes of accessing the data. R is a file for reading, W is a file for writing. So whenever you try to write the data, if already exists, we will be seeing it in our day-to-day. If it already exists, it will overwrite on that existing file. So when I go for RB and WB, they are nothing but that you are trying to read the data in a binary format, which will be generally not understandable by the user. A is as usual, it is an appending. So appending is the difference between the write and append is, so when you try to write the data, it overwrites if it is already existing, but when you try to append, it does not overwrite, rather it adds the contents of the file from the last position. So similarly you have AB here also. R plus W plus A plus are it is like both reading and writing, and both appending and reading. So anyway, we will be not using much about all the other modes. The basic modes that we will be using will be read write operations. And here also we will be dealing in this syllabus, we will be dealing only with the text files. So what is a text file? It is a sequence of string or a sequence of data where the characters are stored in the form of sequence of lines. For example, this is one of the example given extracted from one of the project development team. So when I talk about some specific file from their project, it was storing some data which includes special characters, which includes characters, numbers, etc. Everything will be, and each and every line will be broken up with the indication of new line character. If I want to consider this as a 4, 5, 6, 7 set of line, each line will end with the slash n. Consider this example. I have some string of x, y. I want to store x and y in a separate line. Then I will be using x/n y. So this is nothing but text files. How these text files are related with the lines, we'll go on with the further topics. So now for example, when you go for I'll show you with the online compiler, so where I am trying to open. And one more thing is, whenever you try to open any file, always by default it will be opening through read mode. Whether you specify that with the R or W, by default it will be opening it in the read mode. Say suppose I have created since it is an online compiler, I have created one file called citations.txt. In the citations.txt, I have created it manually and I have stored some set of lines here. Now I am trying to open this file which is in the read mode, And now I will try to print this file handler, and we'll see what is the data that will be stored in the file handler. And I try to run the code, so you can see that file handler will have a name of the file, that whether the file is opened in read mode or write mode, and encoding format. What is this encoding format? And we know that every character or every string will have some ASCII code. So that ASCII code has 0 to 255 characters, and every character will be encoded to ASCII. But here they are using UTF-8, that is nothing but Unicode, where the number of bytes or the size required will be more than 1 lakh. So that is not required for now. UTF-8 is nothing but Unicode encoding of data. So when I say print file handler, so open in the read mode, even if I don't specify that R, automatically it will be there. So now I want to see what are the contents of that file. So when I say the contents of the file, I am opening it only in the read mode. So now, okay, so since we have not crossed for reading and writing, we will move on to the next topic, that will be reading the files. Everything is successful, you have opened the file in the read mode, and that open method has returned a file object as a reference to that particular file. Now, how to read the contents of the file? There are different ways of fetching the data of the file. So the first one is read method. When you call a read method, it reads all the contents of the file. Then you have read of n, where n is the number of bytes, that is nothing but number of characters. So if I say read of 5, it reads only 5 characters from the file. Read line, it reads a complete line. Whenever I prefer a read line, it is going to read only first line of the data, and next line is read lines. If I want to read all the lines, then I will go for read lines. So now we will go back to the example through online Python. So I said citations.txt will contain some set of text. So I have opened the file. In which mode I have opened? It will be in the read mode. Now I will call a function called read. So whenever I call a function read, then you have to specify you are calling a read function through, so name of the file handler dot read. Okay, this is the first one. So whenever I am using any operations on the file, then it is required to access through the file handler. So when I say file handler, where it is going to store, it has to go and store in some variable called ch. Now when I try to print the value of ch, we will see how the data will be processed. See, since I have written hello, hi, welcome to BMSIT, how are you doing? Good, stay home, stay safe, apply your good. So here the complete data is stored in ch. Now let's move on to the next topic. So here f1 is equal to open citations.txt, name of the file, which is when I say f1.read of 4. So only 1, 2, 3, 4 characters will be read from the file. That is when we see this file read of 5. So it means the first 5 bytes or the first 5 characters will be read and it will be stored in ch. So since the citations.txt contains the first 5 as hello, only hello is being read. Now consider one more example. So where I want to count how many number of lines exist in this specific file. Say for example you have some Excel sheet or CSV file. I want to see how many rows are there. So at that time you can implement on this. So now very important thing that you are trying to note is So when I say ch is equal to file handler dot read, it is going to read the complete set of data on ch. Now as I said, I want to count a particular every line in the given file. I will assign count is equal to 0. Now since I want to access every line is not a predefined word, rather it is a variable created by the user. For line in file handler, if the line exists in the file handler, then you are going to for a line you are going to increment the value of count is equal to count plus 1. So and then count plus is equal to 1. So now whenever the line that we are going to process here, so we are going to for line, every line in file handler, because I need to access, whenever you call it through for loop, it will be accessing it through line by line. So when I want to print the total count of the number of lines, the total count will be total count will be comma count. So when I try to run this program, so I am trying to count is equal total count is count plus 1. Why is that we are getting count plus 1, as the line count is citations.text. We will see whether we have read it properly or not. So ch is equal to, you need not read the complete data in here. For line in file handler, we will run it again. Okay, sorry. So now can you see this 1 2 3 4 5 6, and here for each and every line in the file handler, and whenever it reads line by line, it is going to count it by 1. So the next set of thing we will see one more is, I want to count the number of characters. So how do you process the number of characters? I want to read the complete content and store it in a particular string variable. Then if you find using predefined function the length of that character, then you can do it here. So similarly we will see that, and we will try to. So say for example citations.text, here you have set of text data and you are trying to open, since you need not refer it because by default it takes in read mode, and I am trying to read the contents of the file and store it in a variable called ch. When you print ch, the entire content will be printed. So when I try to print the length of the character using len of ch, it is going to print the length of the characters, that is the complete since it is not a string and it cannot be a comment line. So you can see the length of the character for this will be 85. And similarly, if I want to read only specific number of characters, how can we read only the specific characters? By using string slicing. If you remember, I want to start from 0 character till some 10. So then if you try to run the program, the first 10 characters, since I am giving length, it is giving us 10, and I want to read it only of 10 characters, HELL, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What about another one? So this /n will also be counted as first one of the character in the given set of file. Do remember that /n is also included as in the length of the file. So here in the same program we can see the length of the characters, the total. This is one of the example given. The total length is 39 and only the first 10 character is the red. So next, coming towards writing the file. So when I try to write the contents of the file, so first thing is we need to open the file, and whatever the string you want to copy from string to the file or from one file to another file, anything is fine. So I will again go through this. F1 is equal to, say for example, I want to write some f1 dot text which does not exist, say for example f1 or f2 dot text. Now I have to open the file in the write mode. So what happens when you try to open the file? Now I have opened the file in the write mode, and what is that you are going to try to write? Say for example, I will take a string variable. String variable is equal to hello, welcome to my Python class. So when I say this has to be written into the file. So how do you do that? F1 dot write. Inside that write you are going to say str. So now we will not now we will try to run this file and see if there are any errors, if it is required. So let it compile. By then we can see that as soon as you open the file and you try to print the file handler, it will say the name of the file, and you are opening it in write mode. And see here, earlier it was UTF-8, here it is CP1252. It's not required for now. For Windows the encoding method will be this code, and for Linux it will be using UTF-8. And we have two methods of writing the file into the file. One is through write of string, another one is you are trying to write complete lines. So we will see it again. If what happens if the file already exists and we know, it will be overwriting the file. Okay, due to some error we will run it again. So when you try to run the program opening the read mode, can you see to which file I am trying to write? I am trying to write the contents of a string to f2.txt. When we try to open f2.txt, hello, welcome to my Python class. So this file will be stored. I want to store, I want to write one more variable. So f1.write is Java. So when I try to run this program, and we will see what is the updated version of this f2.txt. See here, Java is being specified here. I have not mentioned /n here. That is the reason it is going to be stored in the same thing. So when I mention the /n in the end of the string, so then f2.txt will have Java in the next line of the code. Next comes you are trying to write the file. I said you are okay. One more example what I can give you is, I want to see here citations.txt. You have some set of contents. I want to copy the entire citations.txt into one more file. So what I can do is, I will open f1 is equal to open that citations.txt. Now I am opening it in the read mode. I have one more file handler called f2. So f2 is a file handler. Okay, so I will give a name here as a file.txt, which opens in the write mode. So now what should happen? The entire contents of f1 has to be written into the f2. So we will see here. So we will take up ch is equal to f1.read. Now everything will be stored in ch. Now through f2 file handler, I am trying to copy ch. So when I see here, ch entire contents are stored in a variable called ch, and through this variable I am trying to write the contents into the second file, that is file.txt. So now can you see citations.text is copied to file.text. Okay, this is one of the example where you can because in previous year question papers they have asked the complete thing to copy the contents of one file to another file. Okay, let's move on to the another thing. And we had also discussed about write line. So when does this write line can work? So when you have a list of list of items, when you have a list of items as a dictionary, as a tuple or as a set, then you can use this write line. So can you see the same example? I'll copy and paste so that it will be easier for you. So fruits, I have saved the fruits. See here, it's a list of items. Why have I given /n? Just to make sure that it is going to store it in a line by line format. I have a set of string which has set of list of items, and I am trying to open the file, and through the write lines I am trying to run this code. So what is the my file? So you have the syntactical error because just I have done copy and paste, and this is the symbol that will be used for double quotes, and which is not valid with so when you try to change this double quotes all over, you will get a complete sentence. Let's see, copy and paste. So this is the problem when you try to copy and paste with this content. So when you try to run the code, we will see that still there is some error because we have given some space over here. We will eliminate that space. Then you will get the complete contents of the file. Still there is a syntactical error because we have not closed the string here. Sorry for that. Okay. See here, apple, oranges, grapes. So when are you using write lines? If I want to write n number of lines, you can also do the same thing with write lines with by using for loop as well. So next we will move on to the next set of searching through a file. Say for example, you have a bank data file. I want to search for a particular data, that is I want to search for a banker name, or I want to search for a particular customer detail whose name starts with James. So when how do you do that? So I have a predefined function called starts with. So as usual, you are trying to open the file. So I am trying to open the file called I'm just trying to copy and paste so that time will be saved. Okay. So I will try to open F1 is equal to open citations.txt. Since you will be opening it in the read mode, everything is fine. For each line, for line in the file handler F1, so what is that we are going to do? We are going to search for a particular string in the file. If line dot starts with, I want to check, say for example you have citations.text, I want to check whether the line starts with high. Which are the variables, which are the lines where you are starting the line with high? So And very important, if you do not close the file, so what happens? So you are going to print that line. So how many lines are there as such? So when I try to run the file, so you should be very careful about the syntax of the contents or the lines that we will be using. See, what is the name of the file that exists? Citation. So what is the error that we got? File not found error. So you should be very careful when you are dealing with the files. Citations.txt, and when you again we have a okay. So why is that error? F-hand. I have used the file handler name as F1, F1.close. So hi, welcome. Can you see which is the line that starts with hi? Only one line. So if I say hi, hello, there are two lines which are going to start with hi. The two lines will be displayed. Hi, hello, hi, welcome to BMSIT. Okay. So next we will move on to the next topic, letting the user choose the file. So I want to create a new file, or I want to try to open the file. Rather than giving it in the predefined code, we will allow user to enter the file. It is only through input, enter the input function. Through enter function you can enter the given file, and I want to count the number of lines as we have already done. So F1 is equal to open the file name. So what is the name of the file? That will be given as a given by the user. Okay. Now a very important concept during file handling is the try and accept. Say for example, you are trying to book a ticket for the bus which is already left. So what is that you are trying to do? You are going to book a ticket which is not at all available. So at this time it should throw you a proper error saying that the bus has already left, or you are trying to do some transaction of amount from one account to another account. So a file has to be updated here and there. So if the amount does not exist, it has to throw you up with an error. So again we had already learned the concept of try and accept. So whenever you are trying to open a specific file, if that file cannot be opened, or if the file does not exist, so then you have to handle that exception or catch that exception, and you have to give a proper message and exit in a normal way. If you are trying to do, for example, in real time, when you are trying to do online transaction of money from one point to another point, if that banker does not, customer does not exist, so it should pop out with an error. Or if simply dumbly or the data amount will be transferred, your amount will be lost. So you should take a proper care when you are trying to open, read or write the operations on the file. Now as usual, how do you close the file? If you do not close the file, then the file handler will still exist in the memory, and the garbage collector will have to take care of freeing the resources. So it is better, whenever you try to open the file, it is better to close the file by using file handler dot close. And we will move on to the exercise problems. It is very important for you to solve these problems. What is the first one is to copy all the lines from one file to another file. So we have done it, taking a string file1.2 to file2, where the line begins with ovals, and also demonstrate the computational faults. The computational fault demonstration can be done by using try and accept. So since it is begins with oval, so as I told you, oval starts with. So when I give a predefined function called starts with, you can always perform this operation by using, say for example, I have AEIOU. I cannot use AND operator or do as such to know whether it is starting with that or not. So what I can do is I can assign a oval variable which is nothing but a list of contents A, comma, E, comma, I, comma, O, comma, and U. So these are the list of variables or list of contents under the oval. So if the line is starting with this particular variable, so which contains all this length, then you are going to print the line. So we will see what does citation.txt contain. So all these lines are not ovals, starting with ovals only here, just that is the reason I have taken apply you are good. So only this line has to be printed. So just we will see what is the line that see apply you are good. So now all these lines are not starting with oval. So that time you can extract the data by using the operation called if line dot starts with oval, and you can perform the operation. Kindly solve all these programs manually, then you will feel comfortable with this particular topic. And one more program to count the number of occurrences of a given word. If you had seen my previous video of strings, I have explained you the built-in methods for the strings called strip and count method. So strip function will strip or divide the complete line into number of words, and through that words you can find out through count method whether that a word is there or not. If it is there, then the count method will automatically increment it. You can go through that previous content and do this program for the given files. Okay, so because you have to input the data from the file, please read the question very carefully. The third question is you have to take the decimal number which is existing in the file and convert it into binary format, which is again it is from the another through the file operations. So thank you for listening to this video. See you soon.